Nicholas, I could not pronounce your last name. I'm not real smart now. I'm from Alabama, although I don't think your DA over there is real smart either, but we'll get into that in a minute. But just tell us kind of how this thing went down yesterday. Nick is with KNOE News over in Monroe, Louisiana. Just kind of tell us what happened yesterday in Monroe.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll start with the last name thing. When I was younger in grammar school and all that, all the kids used to say, Nick picked his nose, Nick picked his nose. So that's the pronunciation there.
Yeah, well, it's spelled for the listeners, Picht. Yeah, but it's pronounced pick. I don't know how you get picked out of that. I would call it you piked or whatever. But anyway, it is what that is. But let's talk about the situation over there yesterday with the district attorney dropping all charges. Just kind of tell us how it all went down over there yesterday.
Yeah, so we were following this story with my news station at KNOE. We've been following the story since it first happened. I mean, these guys here, Cam Robinson and Hootie Jones, are high school superstars. I mean, local superstars. Everybody knows these guys. I mean, you're no new person to it. I mean, high school football down here in Louisiana is a hotbed. So we were following it from the very beginning when they first got arrested. And I put a call into the district attorney, what was it now, a month ago? And was just kind of, I asked him, how are you going to proceed here? What's going to happen? So on and so on and so on. And he was like, well, I think I really know what I'm going to do here, and I'm not at liberty to tell you yet. But if you continue to follow up with me, I'll sit down and tell you when I finally figure out what I'm going to do, and finally ready to release it. So I kind of, I took him for his word. I waited on him. And then actually, I gave him a ring yesterday, a little bit out of the blue, and just asked him, what's up? He says, I think you might have some, I think I might have something for you. Come see me at 9 o'clock. And I was in his office at 9 o'clock. We sat down for a good while, too. Probably about an hour and a half or so, I think that's about what it was. We sit down for an hour and a half, and he tells me the whole thing.
So what did he say to you, Nick, did he elaborate other than what we saw on TV about him talking about them working out and basically sweating and everybody else in the air conditioning? But what did he say? Well,
from what I understand down here, I'm from New York. So I'm not, I'm still new into everything Louisiana and knew everything down south here for that matter. But from what I understand, Jerry Jones is very well known for being a hard prosecutor. And it was a real human side of him yesterday. Going into his office, and he was just like, look, I'm dismissing the case. I'm declining prosecution. And this is why. I don't think that I should ruin these boys' lives for something they've worked so hard for so long. And I asked him to go on, and he said that he just didn't think that a mistake like that should be what defines their careers. And he was very, very vocal about it and very upfront. He said, you want people to give blame to something, tell them I'll take the blame. This is on my shoulder. I think the exact quote or a very similar, almost the exact quote on this is, there's a personal reason and there's a legal reason. Now, I have a legal reason, but the personal reason is number one, and that's on me. And that was something of to the extent of what he said to me yesterday.
Yeah, we're talking with Nicholas Picht over at KNOE over in Monroe, Louisiana, who broke the story yesterday about Cam Robinson and Hootie Jones. Nick, do you think he would have been better off coming out and giving the legal reason as to why he was dropping the case? I don't think anybody would have had a problem with that, but when he comes out and says what he said, it just didn't come out right. Do you think he would have been better off just giving the legal reason as opposed to talking about how hard these guys work out in the hot sun?
I mean, yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, yes, because certainly it covers yourself a little better. But no, because I think that the message he wanted to convey was a message that he was doing this because he felt like it was the right thing to do, not necessarily the legal thing to do. So, yes and no to that question. I mean, he gave me some legal stuff that he cited, and you know, why I couldn't win this case in court. So he says, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's a yes and no kind of an answer, really.
James, could you do me one favor and just play the audio? It's only about, you've heard it 100 times, Nick, but I want to let you play it. Could you play the audio from Jerry Jones one real quick?
The main reason that I'm doing this is that I refuse to ruin the lives of two young men who have spent their adolescence and their teenage years working and sweating while we were all home under air conditioning.
Nick, I think the only thing he should have said at the end of that was "Roll Tide." I mean, come on. Can I get your take on what he said right there?
Yeah, what he said right there is what I gathered when we were speaking, was that I think that it's no mystery that Louisiana is hot as all anything. Dude, let me tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you Louisiana is hot as all anything, because we do not get this kind of heat up north. But anyway, the point is that he knows Louisiana's hot in the summers, and he knows these guys have been out there on the field busting their tail, and that's kind of where the sweating while we're in the air conditioning thing comes from, I would imagine. You know, they're out there practicing every single day, trying to get better, this and that, while we're all here in the heat. And my take on it was, when I first heard it, I was taken back, but I was also shocked at how human a district attorney sounds.
Yeah, you bring a good point. It did make him sound human. And sometimes, you know, that probably is what he really thought. But most of the time, you know, like if you ask a coach a question, he's not going to really tell you what he's really thinking. He's going to give you
No, and it was very candid.
Yeah.
And it was just very honest. And, you know, you see, or at least I used to see district attorneys as the law hander-downer, I guess. Or the guy that hands down the punishment. It might be a better way for me to put it. But he opened his door to me yesterday and closed it and was just very honest. And I don't think I could have really asked for anything more from him, really.
Nick, hey, this is Jim Farmer. I have a question for you. I know
What's up?
You're just saying that you spent a lot of time with him. What did he, as far as the legal points were, what did he say anything else about that we don't know, or why he thinks he couldn't have won the case because of that?
He said that there were 4 guys in the car. He wanted to make that clear. And the stolen firearm was charged to Cam because it was under his driver's seat and he's the one driving the car. Okay. But according to Jerry Jones, he said that he would have to actually prove possession of that weapon, which he didn't think that he could do, even if he ran a DNA test on it. He said even if he picked up fingerprints of Robinson on it, does that prove that he owned the gun? He would say no. And there's also some Louisiana legal stuff he cited as a precedent, some 2001 court case here. I don't know if you want me to kind of get into the technicalities of it, but he highlighted something here that he said that he couldn't prove as well. And I guess I'll just give you a little snippet of it. It's, the case is State of Louisiana versus Dean P. Blanchard. It's from 2001. And it says here, the state must prove more than mere possession of the firearm. It must prove some connection between the firearm possession and the drug offense. He also said that he couldn't prove who possessed the marijuana. Again, 4 guys in the car. He said he found the bag police found the bag at the bottom of the floorboard, so he didn't know whose it would be. That was his legal reason. I
guess, Nick, one of my questions is the case was supposed to be heard on June 16th. Then it was put off. Why was it put off then? If did anything come new to light that caused the the court case to be extended?
Honestly, I think Jerry Jones was out of town Thursday, Friday, and he wanted to be the guy to announce this.
Yeah,
he wanted to be the guy to sort of disseminate where the information went. But yeah, I think that's really what it was. I was there at court on Thursday, I believe it was. Was it Thursday? And there was a no-show, so we were kind of all up in arms about that. You know, where are these guys? This is one of the biggest cases in a little while here. Where they go? But it was what I was told at the time was that at the request of their attorney, that the hearing had been pushed back. But I believe it was just Jerry Jones had been out of town Thursday, Friday, and wanted to make sure everything kind of came through him Monday morning.
All right, we're talking with Nicholas Pickett, KNOE News, news reporter that broke the story. We'll let you go here just 1 second, but now you said you're from New York. You hadn't been down here this long. Let me let you understand the Alabama-LSU rivalry is humongous. Now, I'm sure you got a feel for that.
I'm not sure if you could put that into words, how big that rivalry really is.
All right, tell me.
That I've at least been able to gather in a couple of months of being here.
Yeah, well, tell me, how the LSU fans, I mean, what do they, if I stop some LSU fans on the street right now, what would they say about Jerry Jones and how he handled this situation?
Well, I'm not sure I could tell you on radio what they have to say. I mean, you want to hit me with one of those Chris Russo buttons where you could beep it out? I'll tell you exactly what they were going to say.
Yeah.
But the gist of it is this: Nick Saban strikes again.
In Louisiana, yeah, that's right. Nick Saban.
That's it. Saban strikes again, and we've had a lot of you know where he can go. Go there, Nick Saban, and a lot of we're not surprised because it's Alabama. There's nothing to see here. And that's the general reaction. I mean, there are people who, I spoke to people, and that's not to say this is everybody, but, I spoke to people who went to high school with both these guys, and they said that they're happy that they got off because they aren't bad guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're good guys.
I literally bumped into a woman yesterday who went to high school with Hootie Jones. I just happened to walk right into it. And she was like, hey, you did the story on Hootie and Cam. And I was like, yeah, well, what do you think? And she's like, well, narcotics, guns, drugs. She's like, that's not Lawrence Jones. That's not Hootie to me. And so there are people who are really happy here for them. But the LSU fan here is not thrilled.
Yeah, well, hey, Nick, if you're around any of the LSU football players, I wouldn't suggest they get arrested in Alabama for that charge because I don't think the DA may be quite as nice over here. So you might.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of guys from the Louisiana high school scene here end up at Bama.
Yes, they do. A lot.
Okay.
A lot. So.
Well, and then Nick coaching down there didn't hurt anything.
Yeah. So obviously Nick leaving LSU. So there's a lot of bitterness. You will really see the heat turn up when that football game, when that team travels to Baton Rouge. Cam Robinson, he may need about 3 security guards going in and out of that place. But Nick, we appreciate you taking time to be on with us. Anything else that you want to add to the story before we let you go?
No, it was just one last thing is that it's funny kind of when you get the paperwork that I got, and I got the paperwork of all the things they've been doing since they've been back to school, and those are things that Alabama apparently doesn't like people to have. And the district attorney made me a copy of everything, and then you take that into your hands and you start paging through it, and you're looking at things like speaking with counselors and gun education courses. And one, I didn't know that the punishment or the discipline from school was that extensive. But two, you look at something like that and you're like, wow, I have something here that could really make a compelling story. And so it was in the moment I was still able to realize that this is something that's going to become huge today.
Yeah.
And, I took it right to my news director, and my news director was really great about everything. And then our whole news team, just hit the ground running from there, making graphics, producing shows, writing up the story in a way that would kind of make the most sense. So it was just a really cool day to be a reporter and to be part of a newsroom.
Well, Nick, we appreciate it. Jerry Jones probably going to be getting a lot of presents from the Alabama fans here in the next week or so. So he may be getting...
Apparently, he sent a lot of people yesterday to voicemail.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Well, you wanted to talk to the Alabama fans. They would talk good about it. And the LSU fans, I probably would have sent them the voicemail if I was him, Nick. But, hey, appreciate you taking time to be on with us.
Absolutely, guys.
Thank
be
you.
good.